In some ways, I'm just a guy who started something as a hobby and it developed into something bigger and I just rolled with it. I didn't know what to do when I graduated, and I applied for a job, and I actually started teaching in Japan at the age of 19, believe it or not. I was a 19-year-old kid wearing a business suit and tie, so it was kind of a daunting experience. I wasn't really prepared for it. I was in a different country where everyone was looking at me, and I was really nervous and shy, but it was a real immersion in a different culture, and I'm glad, looking back in retrospect, that I was there then. Before I went back to California, I found a copy of what was called the Tokyo Journal. It was a magazine in English. And I saw an entry and it said, sumo tournament. And I thought it was interesting, but I really had no inkling at the time. It was only years later back in California when I got some exposure to it and tried it. And so I just got a few friends together that I knew and we started practicing at UCLA. Pretty soon I thought, hey, let's not just practice, let's actually put some events on.
We'd like to thank all of you for coming here today.
It was the first US Sumo Open, and I had never really produced any events of any scale. Any business person with any degree of sense would have told me, you're crazy, what are you doing? And I had to take out loans and put liens on my car, and I went into great debt to put on that event. I thought, I'm never gonna do this again. Lo and behold, I produced the next one in 2002, 2003, and every year since then.
Welcome to the largest international sumo competition in North American history. I'm Tyler Tuioni, and I'm with Andrew Freund, producer of all 14 US Sumo Opens.
Thank you, Tyler.
This is going to be an incredible event. Yama's amazing. He's competed for
I'm working almost 20 hours a day in and day out, leading up to the tournaments. I also create the brackets, and I'm the scorekeeper. I get one or two people to back me up, but I'm actually scoring the matches, calculating who's going next. And that could get a little bit dicey because I'm on the mic. As soon as I'm off for 2 seconds, I'm filling in the different brackets about which matchups are coming up next. I'm signaling to my staff, okay, this is time to clean the ring, switch judges, bring that media person over here. So I'm doing too many things at once. That's probably a little foolish. I got to work on that. But that's an example of how it can be a lot of pressure, a lot of stress during the tournament itself. I want to produce the greatest spectacle where people can learn something, they're excited. And it was just a general goal of making something interesting, respectful to Japanese culture, but also something that Americans could enjoy. So since the 90s even, we've been doing sumo performances in various forms.
All right, folks, how you doing this evening? All right, who's ready to see some sumo?
Essentially what you would see these days at a sumo sushi show, we would do it in a simplified form way back in the day. The guys would come into the ring, they would show the rituals, they would show some of the moves, and we'd do a series of matches. And over the years, I've kind of cultivated and developed that show where we have a kind of refined presentation, there's specific acts to what we do, and we bring in audience members at the end to try to push the big guys. It's interesting when people ask how I fit in because I don't have the image of a sumo wrestler in any shape or form. I mean, they're physically imposing. They're each 500 plus pounds, and they're superstars. They're very wealthy. They're like treated like gods in Japan. But gradually over time, I realized, you know, it's just a big guy. You know, this is a human like anybody else. This person has their goals. They have things they want to share. They're coming here for a reason. It got to the point where it was nothing for me to walk around with sumo wrestlers all the time, and it was just par for the course for me. Everything we do has kind of developed naturally. Like I hadn't really planned a lot of these steps. Even when it comes to language, I knew some Japanese, but it got to the point where I'm talking with these guys every day. So actually I was kind of forced in a way to learn Japanese on a much higher level to be able to communicate with them and manage them. We all joke around, we have our inside jokes, we all talk in Japanese together, and so we have a blast. This is around the time when I think we need to take that next step, get more people involved that will help us develop the sport, both to teach people to compete and also to produce quality events. I'm starting to think, yeah, we got to start to put those pieces together to gradually transition into this comprehensive, larger team. I don't think even after 2 or 3 years I would have thought this is going to continue like it is now for 16 years, but this is where we are. So it's been quite an interesting ride. All of my brothers and sisters, I have a couple younger brothers, a couple younger sisters, and my parents, they always knew that I was kind of an unusual person. I had all kinds of eclectic, esoteric hobbies and interests. And so me doing sumo wasn't too much of a surprise. So there wasn't any decisive moment when they're like, what are you doing? It just kind of gradually built up over the years. And so now it's perfectly normal that, hey, Andrew is the sumo guy.